Well, good morning, people. Didn't have too bad a night's sleep, I'm pleased to say. Although I must admit, I woke up at, I wasn't sure what the time was. It seemed quite bright outside, so I thought, it must be time to get up. I was dying to go to the toilet, and yeah, when I looked at my phone to see what the time was, it was only 1:30. But the moon was quite bright last night. Tent is absolutely dripping, but I suppose you've got to expect that. We had no rain, it's just the morning dew. So I've already had the stove on, got myself a brew, so I'm enjoying that. I do myself some very simple porridge, but what a beautiful view to wake up to, really nice. So like I said, we got to this point. We've done about 15 miles yesterday, 16 miles, which I was quite happy with. To get to here, I was hoping to get up to Cantley sugar factory. As I say, it's just across the way, but this little bit of bank opened itself up, ideal spot to pitch, so I just took advantage of it. Yeah, so I think we've got 22 miles left to do. Certainly won't do that all in one day. My plan, if I can, is get to somewhere like Braden Water and camp there, because I think the wildlife, the bird life would be pretty good there. So, but we'll see. Like I say, I made no plans, and we'll just see how it goes. Which is always good about these little expeditions. Start walking and see where you end. So yeah, okay, here we go, people. Our view this morning. Got me chores to do now. Bit of tidying up, bit of packing away, wiping the tent down before I put it away, and yeah, then I'll be on my way. So I'll speak to you soon. Back on the trail again. Just started off. I sort of set myself a target to be away by 7, and I was actually away by 7:05, so I'll go with that. Yeah, it looks like it's going to be it's turning out to be a beautiful morning. Do you know what? I doubt if you can see that because it's so far away. Well, it's not that far away, but the GoPro makes it look far away. It's my first windmill of the whole trip. So, yeah, sun's blaring. It's quite warm actually. I've left the jumper on. But we're coming round to the sugar factory at Cantley, which is probably a little bit of an eyesore on this walk. But yeah, it can't all be absolutely brilliant. Yeah, this is, to be honest with you, this area here was where I was originally thinking of coming to, but I wasn't sure what the terrain was. If I'd have known it was reasonably flat like this and quite wide, I probably would have come up this far. But no, I had a decent pitch, really comfortable night. Sleep system worked really well. What I was using was my Alpkit cloud base air mattress, and because it's got no insulation qualities, I just brought along a cheap windscreen protector, you know, like the silver foil ones that you can buy, just put underneath me, so I had no problems with that. I've got a Thermarest sort of thermal liner, which the packaging when I bought it quite some time ago says gives you an extra 10 degrees. Well, I certainly wouldn't like to be sleeping just in 10 degrees in that, but that coupled with my cheap Costco quilt worked a treat. What I've done with the quilt is I got it modded so that I can cinch up the bottom, and I put some plastic poppers halfway along so that I can pop, you know, sort of make a foot box. And yeah, I stripped off last night to my underpants, and all I done was I just put this fleece jumper on that I hadn't been wearing all day long, and I was really quite toasty. So the sleep system worked quite well in these temperatures. According to the weather forecast, it said that it was only going to get down to about 11 degrees last night, as I say, and my sleep system worked really well. Okay, so I'll bring you back as and when. Speak to you soon. Better view of the mill. Strange how you see something from a distance and then like the river comes round to it. Yeah, I'll be walking right, I think I'm walking right past it, so get a better shot when I'm closer. Oh, it's getting warm now. I think I'll make use of this. There's a little bit of a dry patch here. Take my bag off, take my jumper off. It's getting warm. Okay, just walk around Hardley Stave. Just at the end, just about to walk back up Hardley Stave. A little bit of information. I'm now heading for Hardley Cross. Cross, when we get there, actually marks the point between the river that was looked after by Norwich and then the river that was looked after by Great Yarmouth. So, according to the signs back there, we've got another, about just over a mile and a quarter to get there. Then we start heading down the River Yare. So, yeah. Again, according to the sign, seems like I've done about 3 miles this morning. It doesn't think about it. It doesn't look like it, because I can still see the boats, or the masts of the boats in the dike that I camped by. So, yeah. Okay. Very damp underfoot, as you can see from my shoes. They're absolutely soaking wet, but they'll dry out during the day. So, ever onwards. Difference a half hour makes, really. Earlier I stopped because I was getting really warm. The sun was out, blaring away, and it's getting really quite hot. Now the sun's gone in, it's quite cool, but yeah, I think I'm roughly about halfway now, actually, because if I've done my sums correctly, this is about the halfway point of the whole walk. Just coming up to a thing called Hardley Cross, which back there said it was a mile and a quarter away. Hardley Cross should make 19 miles, or 19 and a bit miles. So yeah, if I'm not at the halfway point, I'm either just coming up to it or just gone past it. And so it seemed quite strange when I read the sign, said it 3 miles to Langley Dyke, which is where I camped last night, and I could see quite clearly the masts of the boats moored in Langley Dyke. But I forget, this river sort of, obviously like all rivers, sort of like winds its way, it meanders, so I've gone around and I can just look across. So I can see Loddon in the distance, because I've got to walk up here and then turn right down the River Chet. Takes me into Loddon, and I believe that's 22 miles. So hopefully I'll get there for around about 10 o'clock, and hopefully there'll be a cafe there, so I'm dying for a cup of tea. Didn't bring any tea bags with me, and I'm normally a tea drinker. Coffee, those sachets seem to be the easiest option, so I just brought some sachets with me. So far I've only drank coffee, so I'm hoping to see if I can get myself a nice mug of tea. Okay, ever onwards. We're just coming up to Hardley Cross, which is at the mouth of the River Chet, which I have to obviously turn right down to head down towards Loddon. Ironically, once I get into Loddon, I have to come all the way back out again, and I'm probably no more than a mile down the river is where the Reedham ferry crosses. So and Reedham is the only place on the River Yare that you can cross between Great Yarmouth and Norwich. So according to the book, this is at 19.5 miles, so a little bit over halfway. Okay, it was put up in 1676, I don't know if you can see that, but repaired in 1820. So yeah, Hardley Cross. Everything going that way is looked after by Great Yarmouth, and everything going that way is looked after by Norwich. So yeah, this is the entrance to the River Chet, and now we turn right down here, all the way down to Loddon, and then back again. Okay. There we go, I don't know if you can see this. Cross marks the ancient boundary of the jurisdiction of the City of Norwich and the Borough of Great Yarmouth. Only restored in 1971. There's quite a few planks on there already. Repaired in 1898. So yeah, been repaired a few times. I think they can do something about the things around it. Oh well. From the sunshine first thing this morning to the clouds of mid-morning. Well, it's not really mid-morning, it's only 9 o'clock. So, okay people, ever onwards. Well, I managed to get me a cup of tea in Loddon. Cup of tea, bacon and roll, very nice. Just walking through this graveyard, which is the next stage. I'm walking now to Reedham Ferry, and I was just wondering what all these, next to some of the old graves, there's like an information plaque, and actually when you go and look at it, it actually gives you some history of the person that's buried there, which I think is quite good. So, yeah, memory of Philip Tricker. Okay, well, quite interesting really, because you often walk around some of these old graveyards and see these really old, I mean, look at that one there, really old. You can't quite make out what it says, and it actually tells you. The Harvey Nelson tomb. So, yeah, that's a good idea. John Constable. I don't think it's the John Constable, but yeah. So I think the I love these little walkways. So we leave Holy Trinity Church, Loddon, and now heading, as I say, now to Reedham. So ever onwards. Well, back on the road again. A sign up there said Reedham Ferry, 3.5 miles. I have this horrible feeling that all 3.5 miles is on roads. So what's the saying they use on the Appalachian Trail? Something to do with the suck. I'll think of it later. Embrace the suck. So, yep, this is the way to go. So, just get on with it. Okay, just come to the top of this hill. Well, not really the top, but yeah, and quite a clear signpost saying the Wherrymans Way public footpath comes across here, and you walk out onto the field. Where's the footpath? Now there is a faint track you can just see going across in that direction, so I'm really going to have to check the map to make sure that's the right footpath. Why do farmers do it? Okay. Ever onwards. Yeah, as you get further in, it's more pronounced. You can see it moving off. It's heading for that corner. I could have gone round the road, would have got me to the same spot, but this just cuts the corner off, and it is a public footpath, so yeah, it should be left open. can make out a footpath sign at the upper end. So we're getting there. Yes, more road walking. I've just come up here though, and look what we've got. We've got 4, 1, 2, 3, and one on this side. Quite old oaks. They could probably tell a few stories if they could speak. That one's got to be a good few 100 years old. So's that one really. Yeah, so 4 lovely big oaks. Probably that one started all 4, or the other 3. There's plenty of other oaks here that are growing up as well. Probably all spawned from the one big oak in the centre. Right, a little bit further up here, so it's still going to be, it's all road walking now, and definitely until the ferry. But there's a stretch up here that you can look across and see Hardley Cross, where I was about 10 o'clock this morning, and it's now what, 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Probably, you know, you could, looking at the map, you could probably throw a stone at it, but I've had to, because the River Chet is in the way, I've had to walk all the way into Loddon and then all the way out again. So, yep. Okay. Ever onwards. Well, I was wrong earlier on all counts. You probably can't see it with this GoPro. The zoom is bloody useless. But just over there is Hawksley Cross. Not Hawksley Cross. Hawksley Cross. I was there this morning about 9 o'clock. It's now 1:22. Yeah, so been a long walk round, and I've still got lots more. Well, not lots more, about another mile of road walking before I get to the ferry. So then I've got to make a decision, because there's a campsite at the ferry. Whether they've got any spaces, I don't know. It is quite early, I know, but then what are the chances of me finding a wild camping spot further up? I would like to have got further up, but to be honest with you, these roads are killing me. The ferry works out at 26 miles in total. Alright, so that's 12 for today, so it's a bit light, but I'm just thinking of possible camping spots. There might not be anything until I get to Braden Water, and then that's another 9 miles further on. And if I get to Braden Water, there's only 4 miles left to do, which will give me a really light day tomorrow. So I don't know, if I finish at Reedham Ferry at 26 miles, that gives me 11 miles to do tomorrow, which ain't too shabby, but it is all along the side of the river and alongside of Braden Water, so it could be interesting. So I don't know, I've got a little while to make up my mind. Maybe made up for me. It's bank holiday weekend, and the chances of a campsite having a space on a Sunday evening might be very low. I hate walking along these roads that, I mean, I wouldn't call it busy, but it's quite narrow and cars are going up and down. Oh well, everyone would. Okay, Reedham Ferry. It's a chain ferry. It's just pulls itself across the river. So yeah. Pedestrians 50p, but minimum fare £1.50. So I don't know if that means £1.50 just for me, or that's if it's only me going across, then it'll be £1.50. I don't know. We shall see. So, okay, let's go across the river. Just had my lunch at the ferry inn, and I made a decision to carry on walking. It's 2:45. It's a good 2.5 hours. Well, more like 3.5 hours before it gets dark. So I've got plenty of time. Just plod along, see what I can find. I've had a look on aerial maps, and there seems to be something just the other side of the Wherrymans village, so we'll see. If I'm wrong, I'll have to carry on walking. Okay, ever onwards. Right, you may not be able to see that, but in front of us is Wherrymans Swing Bridge. It's a railway bridge that swings round to allow the trains to go across when it's needed. Normally it stays like that, so it's a bit like a level crossing, which is open for boat traffic, but when a train comes it closes. So yeah, all interesting stuff. As I say, this is Wherrymans village, just at 27.5 miles into the journey, so we've got just under 10 left to do. So I didn't fancy staying at the campsite, so let's see what we find going further up. Ever onwards. You get a better view from top of the railway bridge. Yeah, you wouldn't want a train to carry on because it would just fall over into the river. Yeah, it's just like a level crossing. When a train is due, the swing bridge turns around and allows it to go across. I think I've only seen it in operation once. Oh, and what do I tell you? There we go, it's swinging back round now. What great timing that was. Even the signal man in the tower over there must have seen me filming. So doing it just for us. Place now, all lined up, all ready for a train. Well, I don't know if you can read that, but the sign there says this is the Wherrymans Way public footpath. Burnley Arms is 4 miles, Great Yarmouth 9 miles. So basically I've got 9 miles left to do in total, so I'm happy about that. And if I'm not mistaken, this is my last bit of road. Yeah, the weather forecast said no rain. It rained yesterday. It wasn't meant to be windy, and it is really quite windy, gusts of 30 miles an hour, and we're fairly exposed here. Where I camped last night was fairly exposed. As you can see, there's no cover for quite some way, and yeah, I'm looking to find a camping spot along here somewhere. This would be ideal. There's a lovely bench down there, and it's a bit of flat ground down there and a little bit of shade from those reeds there, but it's 3:30. Yeah, I know I ain't got much more to do tomorrow. Even if I stop now, that still only gives me just slightly less than 9 miles, but I don't know, I feel wrong stopping at 3:30. That's one of the reasons why I didn't pitch up at the campsite. I had something to eat at that pub, and to be honest with you, I couldn't eat it. I was absolutely bloated. Yeah, oh well. Hopefully there might be something else around the corner. That's the only problem is the wind is coming in from that direction. Right, and as you can see from this path, it just turns around. My next point of call is that windmill in the distance. You probably can't see it, but it's the windmill in the far distance. That's 3 miles away from Reedham. That's the around about the 30-mile mark. So that should only leave me 7 miles to do, if I can find a camping spot near there. If not, I'll be walking on. Oh well, ever onwards. Okay people, I found my pitch for tonight. Still a little bit early, it's only 4:30, but I think it's a bit like last night really. I'm being a little bit prudent because I don't think I'm going to get anything better. It certainly opens past those buildings over there, the windmills. It starts opening out a hell of a lot more. And this wind, I've just checked the weather forecast, is due all night long. So I wanted somewhere with a little bit of shelter. So I've actually dropped down off of the path, which is just up there, onto this secondary path. A lot further back it was tracks, and yeah, it seems to have turned into like a single walking track. So I'm going to pitch my tent along here. I'm getting a little bit of shelter with the reeds. I had 10 minutes, I was just sitting down there just looking at the book, seeing what I've got left to do. Those buildings over there are at the 30-mile mark, so from that point there's only 7 miles to go, so I haven't got far to get around there, so I'm just short of 30 miles. So that means yesterday I done 14 miles, today I've just done short of 16 miles, so yeah, I'm happy with that. If it had been nicer weather, I wanted to get onto Breydon Water, because I think the wildlife out there would be pretty good. But yeah, they're actually suggesting that we're going to get some rain tonight. And by looking at those clouds, they could be right. So normally I would just sit here until about 6 o'clock and pitch my tent then, but you know what, I haven't seen anyone walk along here for some time, and no one was following me. I mean, you can see quite a way in the distance. I can't see anyone coming along, So I honestly don't think there's anyone going to be coming along this path tonight. If there is, there'll only be walkers like me. So yeah, I certainly can't see the farmer coming up. All his sheep are in the field over there, and there is a ditch where those reeds are, so the sheep are not going to come over here. That's the only problem here, is obviously there's a lot of sheep poo and cows by the looks of it. But I certainly ain't seen any cows today, so I think I'm okay here. I'm going to try and come over a little bit so to get away from the path, just in case there is a larger vehicle coming along. But yeah, I think I'm fine. Okay people, let me get my tent up. Okay, that's me set up for the night. It's still early, but judging by looking at these clouds, I think we're definitely going to get some rain. So I think I was right to do what I did. The only difference I've done with the tent is I haven't clipped the inner tent to the side of the outer tent, the fly, purely because wind's coming in sort of like from this direction, right? And this morning, although it was only dew and there wasn't a lot of wind, the inner tent got quite wet because it was touching the fly. So I'm hoping to, if I don't clip it, it won't happen. As I say, the forecast does say some rain for later on, but judging by these clouds, I think we're going to get it sooner rather than later. So it's 5:15. Officially we've got a couple of hours till darkness, but don't know. As I say, don't look good. But then that's yeah, you take the rough with the smooth. So I reckon I've got tomorrow, probably got about 7, maybe 8 miles to do. No rush, although I don't want to be home too late. If I leave at similar sort of times I did this morning, 7 o'clock, you know, those 8 miles I should be done by, well, I would say midday at the latest. So yeah, that should get me home sort of like mid-afternoon. That's good. Okay then people, well, that's me signing off for tonight, and I'll see you in the morning.